In my opinion, one of the greatest compliments that you can give to somebody is that they're quote unquote built different. Jas, how are you built different?
Wow, great starting question. And you know what? My kids, 11 and 9, two boys, are laughing right now when they hear this because I tell them all the time I'm built differently. To answer your question, I really think a lot of it has to do with my upbringing. A father who was a taxi driver his whole life, a mother who was a factory worker her whole life, and I have two older brothers. And it's always a healthy reminder when you have two older brothers that you're closer to the bottom than you are to the top. And they still remind me as a 43-year-old now, and they're 5 and 10 years my senior. But they've always kept me humble. I come from humble beginnings, and I never forgot the moments in which I know my parents tried to give myself and my two brothers everything they possibly could. Like, I didn't grow up with nothing, I didn't grow up with everything. And so as I grew up in an environment, I'm born and raised in the north part of Toronto in an area called Rexdale, that is one of those areas that people are told to kind of lock their doors and put up their windows when they drive through it. For us, it was like great, like nothing ever bad happened to us. We were and were born in that environment, but the hybrid of all those circumstances, the actual family, the actual home and family I was raised in, as well as the area, my environment, really made me built different.
Do you find that these are conscious thoughts that you have on a day-to-day basis of like, this is how I grew up, this is what I need to do, this is how I need to survive? Or was it kind of just imprinted into your DNA that this is just the way that the world is?
Yeah, look, I think as a 43-year-old now, I think I have a lot more conscious thoughts about that because I'm dealing with so many team members and staff. And I got a coaching business. And so I got a lot of coaching clients. I go on stage and I speak in front of people, in terms of the audience. And so I consciously think about the fact that everyone has their own story. And then that just reminds me of mine. Growing up, I didn't know any different. Like, I really didn't know any different other than what I saw on TV. But I think I was smart enough. And for anybody who's ever dove into my social media or my content, like, I'll be the first one to say I'm not that smart. But I think I was smart enough growing up, knowing like, that stuff on TV and movies is not real. And so my parents, I mean, for everyone who's taking their dog for a walk right now or on the treadmill, you can't see my sweater, but it says you are enough. And the reason I have that every day, I wear some type of messaging like you are enough on me, is because my parents always told me that. Like, they just said, like, look, your grades, like, try harder. Come on, you could try a little bit harder. But it's not like my dad was trying to save for a college fund for me. He knew pretty early on, like, this guy ain't going that far in school. And so back then, just it really was in my DNA.
It's funny you were mentioning about how movies portray success. And if I think back, for example, like the movie Rocky, like if that was a realistic movie, then the story about, let's say, the rivalry and the growth of a professional boxer would be very short. In that Eye of the Tiger montage, that would be like the whole movie.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a really boring movie to watch, and it's a bit of a painful movie to watch because nobody wants to watch somebody suffer through 2 hours. But that's really what it is. So you had, I don't want to say adversity, but let's say you had a wake up call early in life to show you, like, this is how you're going to be successful. This is what work ethic actually looks like. Without that, and also speaking for people who don't necessarily have that, who haven't experienced that firsthand, how do they develop the sense of discipline that you have?
Look, I think a big part of it is really asking yourself higher quality questions, right? I say it all the time that your life is determined by the quality of questions you ask yourself. Because as we know, there's a person inside that speaks to you all day long, even when you're sleeping, hence why you have these dreams, right? And if you can focus that person to ask higher quality questions, your life will be determined by it. You will experience a different life. And so if you ask yourself consistently why you're an idiot, why things don't work out for you, the brain, long before Google and ChatGPT, will find those answers. It will show up and tell you why you're not that smart or why things don't work out for you. Where I like to focus my thoughts and what I tell people is start asking yourself, like, why do you want to, like, why are you in the business? Why do you need to make more money? What would you do if money wasn't what we exchanged for goods? What would you do for free all day long? And when you start to ask those questions, answers will start to come to you, which will then have a higher purpose pull you, which will then automatically make you disciplined. See, discipline will always beat motivation. I like giving people motivational talks. I'm doing air quotes for the people who are driving right now. But I've also come to learn that they don't last. Motivation doesn't last long, right? We've all been to seminars. We've all listened to a podcast like this. And damn, for all I know, right now, I might be lighting a fire under someone's you-know-what. But it's not going to last, because then Monday evening's going to happen, right? When you're disciplined, it's a feeling of being pulled towards something rather than what I think motivation is where you have to consistently push, right? And so to get there, you got to ask yourself the questions of, what do I want to do? Why do I want to do it? What makes me happy? What is my bigger purpose? And none of this stuff is fun. I get it. Henry Ford said it the best. He said the hardest thing to do is to think. That's why very few people do it. And when I mean think, I mean like when you're in your thoughts and you're allowing for that battle to happen. You got to ask questions to yourself. You got to pause. You got to reflect. You got to try to be self-aware before you answer them. You got to go back and forth within your head. Shit, that takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of energy. So what do most people do? Well, we just allow for distractions. We allow other people to do the thinking for us. We just aimlessly go through our day, right? Because it's so hard to go through that battle of asking those questions and finding the answers. But I don't need someone to tell me to get up in the morning and work. That doesn't make me better than anyone. But I can tell you that every night I have a hard time going to sleep and I'm jumping and springing out of the bed. That doesn't mean I don't have bad days and bad moments. I just, over time, and maybe it's some of the gray hair in my beard and the lack of hair on the top of my head that's speaking right now, which is I've gotten better over time to minimize the amount of time that I spend in negative thoughts. Not to say I don't have them, not to say I don't have bad moments, but I'm not going to allow myself to dwell in them. And so if you haven't had any tragedies or an aha moment, awesome. Fantastic. You probably, and I hate to say this, and I knock on wood for everybody, you're going to go through something, right? To go through pain in life is normal. To go through suffering in life is a choice. We all are going to go through pain. You cannot get through this life without feeling some type of pain. But if you put yourself through suffering, that's a choice.
I want to challenge something that you said, although I know that it wasn't you who said it. You were quoting Henry Ford. I haven't heard that quote, but I did like it. But I find that a lot of people think themselves out of action. So how do you reconcile what Henry Ford said, saying that the hardest thing to do is to think, when I would say the hardest thing to do is to do?
Yeah, well, 100%. One of the hardest things is to actually consistently take action for people. It's why they probably overthink. What I was trying to portray, and I think what Henry Ford was, it's the thinking from the perspective of allowing yourself to answer your own questions. Like, I mean, being in deep thought. I think that's what he was really trying to say. Like, we just don't allow ourselves to be in deep thought to allow answers to come to ourselves. To get over, I think, procrastinating, overthinking.
Yes.
Right? One of the biggest poisons is overthinking taking action. Right? Because I think we just have this fear of rejection. We have insecurities. We have fear of what people are going to say about us if we fail. We definitely have a fear of failure, me included, at times, for sure. Right? And I just have found so much joy now in trying things and failing. And a lot of it does have to come down to, a lot of it comes down to the fact that I've seen myself fail so much, but then I've succeeded.
Yeah.
Right? So experience will always breed confidence. I hate that it works like that, by the way.
Yeah.
I wish I could just buy confidence from Walmart and then get my experience, and then go through the experience with confidence. But it's just one of those aspects of life that it sucks and it doesn't work like that. You get your experience, and then you iterate.
Well, it's kind of one of the tough ironies of the situation is somebody who isn't successful and is trying and failing and hasn't yet experienced that level of success, all due respect, is probably having a harder time with that failure than you are, because you had that difficult time, but now you're being asked on podcasts, you got the followers, you've got the clout. Like, I don't want to say you've reached the summit, because I think there's infinite more growth that you can have, obviously, and I'm sure you believe the same thing. However, that's the irony of the situation, is the people that don't get any recognition for it, that nobody cares about. Like,
Well,
that's
and
the story.
Oliver, I mean, you're bang on, man, because nobody really cares about what you have to do on a daily basis. We only see results. And look, again, I wish it wasn't like that, but at the end of the day, nobody really cares about what you're going through. That's just it's why it's such a inside out game, right? Like, you gotta fix what's inside the 6 inches between the ears. What I actually think is now even more important, or just as important for sure. I think we're gonna come to a place where it's gonna showcase even more. Like, we've always said, like, what's your gut feeling? Right? Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of scientific proof, like the gut is the new brain.
Okay, I'm actually really happy that you said that, because I didn't want to over challenge what you were saying before, and also it was Henry Ford who said it. It was never you. But even
Yeah.
the second part of it, when you were saying the hardest thing is to think, and then you translated it to like overthinking. For me, the challenge that I have is to just feel like I could think until the cows come home. The thing that I have to do is like, I don't really know, but it feels right. I've thought about it enough. Let's go. And I like how
Go
you're translating, like, there's different types of thought. Like, there's a thought of like, just trust the
hundred
thought
percent.
that came initially. And yeah, I like how you
Yeah,
translated that.
there's the thoughts that we have in, the 6 inches between the ears, but then there's that, if you look back, Oliver, to those times that you had that feeling of, this feels right, right? That gut feeling, right? I'm going to go out on a limb and say you were probably slightly more right than wrong in those times.
100%. I'm married,
Okay.
and it's the best thing that's ever happened to me.
And the brain was like, do you really want to do this? You're going to settle down, one person, blah, 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 all that stuff. But you're like, but I don't know, my heart beats every time, like I'm with my partner and all that kind of stuff, right? So you went with your gut feeling. And so I think that what most people should do is go with that feeling and understand that as long as it didn't kill you, and I truly mean this, as long as it didn't kill you or kill someone else, you get to wake up and try again if you failed. Like, we have so much experience as children with failing and then succeeding that as adults we forget that. You did not, I've never met a human being, but I would love for one to come up and show me now. I've never met a human being that went from tummy time right to running. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
there was the act of crawling failed, the act of walking failed, running, tying your shoelaces. And I know these are all small and basic, but remember what I said earlier for the people who are watching and listening: experience will breed confidence. I don't have much success. Hey, can we just start small? Did you learn how to tie your shoes? Okay, no, Jas, I wear Velcro shoes. I never learned. Okay, great. What else? Did you figure out eating? You figured out eating without maybe making a mess like you did as a child? Well, you got to go back to these things now. You got to rewire the brain, right? And so I think we put so much pressure on succeeding that we forget the process of succeeding. And for me, the process is failing forward. Keep failing, because I wish so many more people would try, because when they fail, that's actually succeeding, because you're able to iterate and change your ways. And the only way you're not able to iterate is if you never got started with something. And remember, a lot of things, if not everything, a lot for sure, at the start were uncomfortable. Like, if you think of yourself as someone who can drive a car right now, you probably started, 10, 2 on the steering wheel, checking your mirrors, putting your belt on, making sure that the music was off, maybe not wanting to drive at night. And now you do all that subconsciously while you're on the phone, putting your makeup on, eating a burger, right? Kissing. I don't know. Like, it was a little awkward for me at the start, right? If you ask my wife, I hope she says I'm really good at it now. But at the start, it wasn't. I wasn't, right? And so you got better over time. And so I know maybe it's, in my world anyways, as I coach sales professionals, it's, I don't want to make a phone call. I don't want to shoot a piece of content. And you have to remind yourself of the times that things were uncomfortable at the start.
Also, like you said, failure is growth. I like to look at everything as an objective person, because I mean, it sounds like a cliche, but it's the truth that there's a reason that people can give better advice to other people than they can to themselves, because you have the luxury of objectivity. So if you ask a parent whose kid is trying to walk, like they're learning to walk, they don't say, oh yeah, my kid's falling at this stage in his life. Like, no, that's not what your kid is doing. Your kid is learning to walk. It's the end goal that they're getting toward. I know you're failing, but like, you're going to get there. And yet with ourselves, all we see is that we're falling. And I think when you're a kid, like every kid, barring unfortunate, like medical reasons, like will learn to walk, they'll figure it out. But as adults, like that's not a given at all. Like we will give up a lot, and it is debilitating. And I think that objectivity and recognizing that when we look at a kid, we say he's learning to walk. Like why don't we give ourselves that grace?
And you said it, and sorry, Oliver, to cut you off, man, but you said it, like you said, we adults can't do it because we give up a lot. That's the key, right? As a kid, the kid didn't give up because the why was so strong. The kid doesn't crawl because he knows he needs to crawl. The kid crawls because he needs to go somewhere. And then he figures out there's these other people around me that are they're getting places faster. You know what I mean? Like I have two boys, 9 and 11, as I mentioned earlier, and I could remember both of them. One crawled quicker than the other started running quicker than the other, something like that, right? But where it was all based on getting somewhere faster. The why was so strong, right? And not only did they never quit, we as parents never allowed them to quit. Like I can tell you right now, barring some type of medical issue, there was no way my kid was going to quit trying to crawl, walk, and run. That just wasn't going to happen. I was never going to let him. No, you're walking and you're going to run because you're going to experience an amazing life if you do. And I just took that to kind of almost wrap one of your other questions earlier in terms of discipline. I think about that actually on a regular basis. Like, nah, I'm just not going to quit. I'm not going to quit. Like, I'm going to literally die trying. My why is so strong. I want to touch as many people as I possibly can on this planet. And I just believe that there's no way that the universe or God, whatever somebody who's watching or listening calls it, that he sprayed dust only on a select few of people. Like, why did he choose Messi or Ronaldo or Beyonce and not Oliver and Jas? I can't live with that. I think he did that for everyone. Our job is to find out what that dust is, take it, and then run with it. Go all in.
That's really powerful. I love that. And now I want to kind of take the story of how you got to where you're at and focus now on the result. Where you've actually got to is a ridiculous ability, at least from what I see on your social media, to do one thing really, really well, and that is to set appointments. So you and I got connected because I saw one of the scripts that you used to set appointments, and I texted you about it, and it was just great. And I did the exact script, and I just was booking appointments left, right, and center on that day. Do you mind if we just quickly role play what one of those calls looks like?
Sure. Are you the sales professional? I'm the client, or vice versa?
I think I would be doing our audience a disservice if I had you on the podcast and not made you the sales professional. So I'll be the client.
Cool. The ring. Oliver?
Yes, hi.
Oliver, how you doing, man? It's Jas Takhar calling from REC Canada.
Hi, how are you? Yeah, no, I know who you are.
Look, awesome. It always feels good when you call someone and they know you. I mean, how's everything been?
Cannot complain, man. Family's good, kids are good. What's going on?
Awesome. Listen, man, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know how busy we are. It's a beautiful day outside. You mentioned the family as well. I want you to get back to them. Listen, I'm just giving you a call. I wanted to ensure that you're getting our emails that we're sending out because I don't want to spam people. And I would love to get your opinion on some of the stuff. Are you seeing the emails that we're sending out?
I'm seeing them. Full transparency, I'm not reading all of them, but some of them I do read and I enjoy them.
Awesome. I appreciate the feedback. Listen, really quickly, now that I have you on the phone, I mean, we have a lot of people reaching out to us in our community with all these changes that are happening, you know, in our city, in our country, really right across North America. Are the tariffs going to be here? They're not going to be here. Interest rates and what's happening with values. And so we started this, what we call a financial checkup from the neck up. It's essentially a 20-minute conversation. It's done virtually. There's no cost for it. Get a better idea of what your current situation is. We might be able to show you some ways that you can start to create some wealth, maybe save some money. Might not be for you, but when's usually good for you for 20 minutes? During the day, Oliver, or evening?
I'm actually just in the middle of a meeting right now, but if maybe call me in the afternoon.
Perfect. Look, is tomorrow, Tuesday, better in the afternoon or Wednesday in the afternoon for 20 minutes?
Probably Tuesday.
Tuesday, and really quickly, I know you're in the meeting. I want you to get back to that. Tuesday at 3 or Tuesday at 4?
3, please.
Awesome. I'll have my team send out an email with all the details. I'll see you at 3, and hopefully it's a positive meeting, Oliver.
Okay, so I've seen that work time and time again, which is why I took a lot from it and why we're speaking right now. Why does that work?
Why does that work? Couple of reasons. First and foremost, coming in with energy, and so I think it's very important to do everything you do with energy, because sales, and this is coming from a guy who's been in the sales industry in some fashion or some form for 31 years, and that's like actually getting paid for it at the age of 12. So 32 years, I guess now. No, 31 years. I did the right math there. I actually started when I was 6, just helping the school with the book fairs and the fundraising door to door. What I realized about sales, it's really just the transfer of emotion. And so even as a kid, I knew if I smiled and I came with energy, enthusiasm, is it going to always work? No, but I want to stack the cards in my favor. So number one reason is, even before I make the phone call, I got to get myself into the state that I'm going to have enthusiasm about this. Because if I'm not enthusiastic about my product or service, why the heck should Oliver, the person I'm speaking to, have any enthusiasm about it? Number one. Number two, I'm not sure if people caught how I started the call. I started with Oliver almost like we were friends forever, because you wouldn't call your friend and say, "Hi, is this Oliver?" Because your friend would then say, "Jas, what do you want, drugs? Why are you asking me if you know it's me?" So I like to start with the assumption that we're kind of friends already. That's number two. Number three, because I know to be prepared to speed up my cadence if I need to, based on what's going on in your day when you pick up the call. Hence, I'm in a meeting. You're in a meeting. Okay, I'm still kind of figuring out, why did you answer the call if it's probably not an important meeting. You're probably in a meeting. That could be because you want to get off the phone with me. That's okay. It's your time. Or you're not in a hugely important meeting. So, but I'm still going to respect that and speed up my cadence. Then I'm going to, in what I said, provide value. Now, that is very subjective, because I'm not sure if you're going to find it valuable or not. My hopes are that you are, right? But you might not find it valuable, but I have enough experience that if I'm talking about you, and the way that I did that there's a lot of people in my community that are reaching out. Side note, I also know that human nature, we do have FOMO, like fear of missing out. Like, oh my God, why is there so many people reaching out about their values and asking questions about the tariffs and the interest rates? Maybe I should too. I need to protect my family. I need to protect my wealth. And so it's hence why I started with, there's a lot of people reaching out in my community. And then the value part being, there might be, like I said it again, right? Like, there might be a way that I can show you to create wealth or maybe save some money. And then I go right into assuming. And I know assuming sometimes makes an ass out of you and me, but I'm going to stack the cards in my favor and assume that the 20 minutes, if you take the 20 minutes at no cost and it's virtual, you don't need to drive through traffic, will be worth it for you. Now it's just a matter of asking, when's usually good for you during the days or the afternoons? Very important last step, because coaching thousands of people, we automatically generally say Oliver, when would be good for you? And then the problem with the when would be good for you is that humans always take the path of least resistance. And so now you gave them such an opening of when's usually good for you. It's similar to when you walk into a retail store and the sales lady says, "Is there something I can help you with? How can I help you?" The first thing we say is, "No, I'm just looking." We actually even need the help. Like, can you find me a shirt in medium? But our initial reaction is, no, get away from me, salesperson. And so what I like to do, and it's worked a million times, and then I'm lowballing that number, is, so when's usually just good for you? Wednesdays? During the days or the evenings? Because the brain has a hard time not choosing between chocolate ice cream and vanilla ice cream. It's like, here's two options, choose. And our brain's like, usually it's probably during the day that's good for me. Okay, Tuesday or Wednesday? Right back to two options again. Tuesday. Okay, great. 3 or 4? 4 or 3 p.m. you said? Great. 3 p.m. I'll send you all the email I'll send you the details all in email.
I want to throw one thing also that you didn't say, but you did. When you've stacked the cards like that in your favor, the biggest thing that you have to deal with, I think the biggest thing that's left over to have to overcome is just general sales objection. Like, I'm guarded. But what did you say to lower my guard? You said, I'm not sure if it's for you. So now all of a sudden it's like, well, hang on, like, I'll be the judge of that. Like, yeah, no, it's for me. Who do you think you're talking to? Of course it's for me. So
Yeah,
if you lay the cards in your favor, you remove the sales objection, like it's so funny. Like, it's crazy how people who either are not professional salespeople or aren't great at sales in general will just hear that and be like, yeah, I mean, it sounds like a pretty good script. But when you break it down, like, it is as methodical as like a math equation.
I appreciate that, Oliver, because it's 31 years of iterations and changing and trying and failing, stuff that we spoke about earlier. And I gotta say, in all the podcasts I've ever been on, I've never had someone break it down the way that you did. And so it's actually, I appreciate it so much because there is a lot of thought that went into this. There's a lot of history in that, you know? And so I really appreciate you noticing, man. It means a lot to me.
Awesome, man. I'm really happy to hear that. So a lot of agents that I am speaking with, they give me a hard time because we always go through this podcast and I don't ask about how top agents and top performers are structuring their day. What does a typical day look like for you, and how are you able to manage your time to focus on the top 20% with all of the things you've got going on?
Yes, I love the question. In the way that I'm going to answer, it's going to be a little different than I have in the past, and the reason is because if I were to tell you how I structure my day right now, I don't think it would be fair to the vast viewers and listeners that you have, because I have a not only a sales team, I have a content team, I have a chief of staff. I got a lot of support with me, like in person. I got a leadership team within my real estate company, right? So the way that I want to answer it is where I believe most people are in their business. Like, they're either in the top 1% or they're trying to get to be in the top 1% in their market. And I also have multiple businesses as well. So I just don't think it's going to be fair if I tell you what my day's like. Now, what I would advise to people in terms of structuring your day to be in the top 1% is take time blocking very, very seriously. In fact, in what is my methodology around sales is known as the Jas Takhar 5-pillar sales method. There's 5 pillars, but the number one pillar, the foundational pillar, is time blocking and productivity. So I love that you went there, because I'm glad that you've never asked that question. That means you never got these answers on the podcast, so I'm the first.
No, not yet.
And so your viewers and listeners are going to get value. Here's the way that I would set it up. First and foremost, look at it from a week's perspective. A day, if you try to just have a schedule around a day and do to-do lists, the day starts to you tend to be more reactive to the day. Okay. And a month, I just believe it's too big of a sample size. So many things can happen. And so I always start from a weekly perspective with people. Okay. Like Sunday to Sunday. I start on a Sunday night with myself, Sunday night at around 6, 7 o'clock, right around there. I've been doing this for over a decade. That's where I look at my week. What do I have in the week that are what I call my big rocks? My big rocks are personal first, because they're non-negotiable. So, same thing for the last decade. Fridays at around 5, 6 o'clock, all the way till Sunday at around 10, 11. Like, if your house was on fire, you could get a hold of me, but then I would probably tell you, why are you calling me? You should call 911. Like, that's my family time, non-negotiable. Unless it's, and side note, like, it's a multiple offer. It's the only time. It's my VIP client. I gotta, I've done that even in the decade, but very few. I do not allow other things to get involved in the after, Friday after 5 up to like Sunday at 11. Why? Because I felt guilty before. I felt guilty that I'm at work and I'm not spending time with my family. And it's the other way too. Sometimes I'm with my family and I feel guilty that I'm not working. So I just said, let me just time block this. There's no guilt feelings around this anymore. Helps with productivity. Because now when I'm working, I'm working. When I'm playing and being dad and husband, that's what I'm doing. Then I'm going to start to put in other important big rocks to me. I've always been a yo-yo around health, meaning weight up, weight down, this, that. But I've always tried to put that into my schedule. And I think most people nowadays have some type of routine around, nutrition, or not nutrition, like working out or walking. Put that in there. You're the machine. If you're not oiled, if the machine's not oiled, it's not going to work well. Put that rock in there. From a business perspective, there's 3 hours till this day, and definitely the 21 years ago that I got my real estate license. 9 in the morning till 12 is what I call working on the business activities. The rest of the day is working in the business. I'm going to explain both. Working on the business is highest level, most important, top priority, lead generation and prospecting. Because if you don't generate leads for your business, you will fall out of business.
How do you differentiate those two?
Lead generation and prospecting, to me, they're actually the same. I just
Okay.
know people use different terminology around it. What I do within it is defined, meaning that's when I'm going to call my warm prospects. I'm going to make outbound phone calls using the script that you and I just played to everybody else in my database. And in the last 6 years, 5 for sure, what I've added into the lead generation / prospecting slot, working on the business 9 to 12, is social media. Not scrolling social media, posting social media. Because the number one thing that I hear from real estate agents is, I don't have enough time. I'm like, all right, let's audit your schedule now,
I think
right?
most agents
And
would be scared to do that, to be honest.
I'll give you one even further for everyone, for all the viewers and listeners. Whatever you want to make in the next 12 months, because I'm not sure when you're watching this or listening to this, ask yourself this question. If I sent one of my videographers and editors, and I have 3 of them full time, if I sent one of them and recorded you for the last week, would you pay yourself the salary that you want to earn? That was the game changer for me, Oliver.
That's a crazy question to ask.
100%. That is the question. That is the unlock for people, because we want to make, I'm going to throw out numbers. I want to do $250,000 in the next 12 months. Awesome. Let's see what you did last week.
Right. And would you pay yourself $250,000 if you saw that? And that goes back into the objectivity thing that we were speaking about before as well.
100%, right? Now let's add some objectiveness to it, because now we're going to watch you and record you, and we're going to see the recording, and we're going to all determine, you included, if you would pay yourself that $250,000. 99% of people for sure are like, no, I wouldn't. Okay, good. Self-aware. Now we know the problem. We can find solutions around it. The working in the business is all the activities we need to do. I am not naive that there is a lot of solo agents, hence why I want to talk to you about what I did when I only was focusing just on real estate and didn't have a team. Because now everybody says, you have so many people and all this. I'm like, all right, let me really go back. So that's listing appointments, showings, home inspections, staging, photography, negotiations, right? Like I always say that unless it's an offer, okay, you can do it in the 9 to 12, but I just know majority of offers don't get done from 9 to 12, but you might be in an area that's where all the multiple offers are set or something like that. All appointments are done after 12 o'clock. So I would usually say 12:30 to 1, depending on how long of a lunch you need, but 9 to 12 on the days that I'm working. So if you decide that you're going to be a 6-day-a-week person, and I'm not here to judge. You want to work 5 days a week? Great. You can actually create a business around your life. It does not need to be the other way around. You do not need to have all this chaos. You don't have to live in it. And so knowing that you can design a business around your life, if you say 5 days a week, so if it's 5 Monday to Friday, 9 to 12, sacred. Turn off all distractions, including the email inbox ding, including phone calls, because here's the thing. I've come to realize in 43 years, there's only been maybe a handful of emergencies that have come up in my life.
Yeah.
But we all think we need to keep all these notifications on for things in case an emergency comes out. You want to have a quick little shortcut? Same thing, it's what I do with my wife and my business partners. You double dial me, I'm picking up, wife, but don't take advantage of that, right?
Yeah.
Like you double dial me, I'm on right now. Oliver, if I got a double dial from my wife, as much as I enjoy you, and I'm not just saying that, I'm going to say, sorry, buddy, I got to put you on hold. But Jas, we're doing a podcast. I really don't care. It's my wife double dialing. Something's going on. I need to attend to it, right? So that's a little shortcut for people who are like, oh my God, somebody's going to call me. It doesn't really happen often. And so now you can stay dialed in, especially because I'm saying 9 to 12, do 90-minute sprints. Go hard for 90 minutes. Take a break. Whatever that break may be. Maybe the break for you is to scroll on social media. Go nuts for 10 minutes. Go for a walk. Whatever you want to do. I don't really care. And then get back to it and do it for the next 90 minutes. So I know it was long-winded, but it is really the most fundamental aspect of what top 1%ers do is, in fact, what I see now, and we're kind of now to bring it to me, I probably spend in a week of my working hours, and I'm usually like a 10-hour kind of day guy when I'm working. And that's not to try to like flex or anything. It's just I like what I get to do. I probably spend somewhere around 70% of it. Yeah, that I'm safe to say that 70% of my week in lead generation and prospecting. So when you become a top 1%er, what you realize is that you need to delegate and you need to get other people to do stuff because you want to stay in the high revenue activities. As many people, and I mean this in the most humble way possible. And I urge people to check out my social media, not for my own ego, so you kind of get a sense of who I am, but I've taught thousands of people that script. I probably on my worst day can chew up anyone around making appointments. It's just what I do. It's like I'm really good at it. You could have taken me anyway on that phone call. I would have navigated with you. You know what I mean? And because I'm just not scared at the worst thing you can tell me is F off. So I've dealt with that in my head already, and now we're good. What am I saying? Is that I need to now increase the amount of time that I'm lead generation mode and prospecting because that drives revenues.
I wouldn't normally want to put folks on the spot like that in case it doesn't really work out. I don't want somebody to crash and burn, but like you're saying, like I've watched enough of your videos that I knew that your wife probably tells you that you sleep talk your script in your sleep. I can imagine that that's a situation that you're that you find.
I'm not sure if it's the script. Sometimes it's just little social media videos. I'll probably say,
Want to know how I generate this many leads? So there's a lot of time a day that you're spending with the calling. And one thing that I noticed you were talking about, I think it was a conversation or maybe you took inspiration from Gary Vaynerchuk, who talks a lot about how you document how the way that top people generate a lot of content is not by creating content, but by documenting the things that they're doing. So 3 hours a day is a long time to be creating content. And that's exactly what you've done. And that's really how you've blown up. What's happened to your business since you doubled down on documenting your work for content?
Well, just to kind of correct you a little bit, like it's not 3 hours that I'm documenting content. It's more like 8 to 9 hours. Like there's literally, we got this happening right now, this virtual Zoom or whatever it is, but I got 2 cameras outside of me right now as well. Right. So this is constant around me because I know at any given point, I'm going to drop a possible nugget. And I really, truly mean that. I don't know, again, it's going to be very subjective if it's valuable for people. What it's done, it's changed my business from a monetary perspective. I'm just not sure how much value that's going to bring to people. And what I mean by that is like, it's literally made me millions of dollars. What it's really done though, Oliver, is it's changed the course of my life. Case in point, you and I never would be speaking. I would never get to know you. We get to see each other face to face next time. If, depending on what your vice is in terms of a beverage, we're going to be able to sit down and have a nice cold one and get to know each other even more. But the relationship started because you saw me online. So that's case in point. The people that I've gotten to meet across this world, it's insane. I just, like you mentioned Gary Vee, but I can drop you another 10 either billionaires or guys and gals that are on their way there that I've recorded these episodes. So it's not just me saying. I think the biggest thing the biggest component in how it changed my life, Oliver, is the confidence it gave me. That's really what it gave me. Because as I did more and more recordings long form, like a Gary Vee, 35-minute podcast episode or whatever it was, I got a lot more confident to speak on video. And what that did then is really propel me to the next version of me, which is speaking in front of large audiences. Okay? Like, I thoroughly enjoy it. I love the high I get. I love the moments leading up to it. I like all the eyes on me because and maybe it's narcissistic, I don't know, I'm not a psychologist or whatever, but I can tell you that there's something about how much I feared all those eyes looking at me. Like, I mean, I was on stage and all these eyes are on me and I would be sweating and heart beating. Now that it's all slowed down for me and now I can touch more people. And that to me is my why. I want to inspire as many people as possible before I leave this planet. And I needed content to do that for me.
So the mission was there, but you just didn't have the vehicle to make it happen yet.
Yeah, I like how you said that. I like how, and I didn't even know this was going to be it. Like, it's so funny how scared I was. In fact, I did your viewers will know this person, Ryan Serhan, $1 Million Listing New York, I think. He was the first recording I've ever did with a camera, meaning my podcast right behind me here, shameless plug, Jas Takhar podcast, not better than Oliver's though. It was always audio. And there was only one reason it was audio, because I never wanted the cameras on me. I was way too insecure. Got a booking with him, went to his office in New York, and my team, one graphic designer I had was like, Jas, you got to record this. I was like, I'm not putting that stuff on camera. I told him, I was like, there's no way I'm speaking to the camera. He's like, Jas, you're going to go see Ryan. It's nonsense that it's just on audio. Let's just put some cameras up. And how about this? You don't need to look at them. I'm like, okay, I could do that. So if you watch this 37-minute recording, I remember that exactly how long it was because I've told this story multiple times, which is I never look at the camera, Oliver, ever. Way too scared of that lens. So I do it's recorded on video, but you'll see me just look at him the whole time. I don't want to look at the camera, right? Now I have multiple cameras on me at all times. It's using, what I want people to catch is it's an actual real life story of not being comfortable at the start, but then realizing all the growth comes in the uncomfortableness, right? You want to get yourself to a place where you get comfortable with being uncomfortable because that's where all the growth happens. And now I get to not only speak in front of large audiences, be on podcasts like yours, do my own podcast, but now I've been able to help other people get started with their podcast. And it's such a cool thing. And none of this would have happened unless I just stepped outside my comfort zone.
Was that interview the turning point for you? Because you really, I know it, somebody might be listening to this and say something like, but you didn't face the camera. But you said at the beginning, it's important to recognize the small victories. This is no small victory. Granted, it could have been bigger if you looked at the camera, but like, come on, let's give yourself some grace here. So this incredible confrontation of your fear that you went through, was that a turning point for you?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why it was the turning point. The turning point was because I didn't understand, like I'm not a techie guy. And so I didn't even understand, really social media back then. I did a long form recording. I didn't understand the intricacies of social media. The reason it was the aha moment is when I brought the full file back, that same graphic designer, he cut up 15 pieces, less than 1 minute. Yep. That was the aha moment. I was like, whoa, I just did that recording once, 37 minutes. I'm just looking for the long form recording. And you gave me like 15 pieces of content, and that was just video. Then what starts to happen, once you start focusing on something, the world starts to show you the way, and it's like the red car theory. If you buy a red car today, whatever car you buy, you might never have seen that car before. You'll see 100 of them. In fact, I'll test everybody who's driving right now. Count how many red cars you see in the next 10 hours of you driving. You're going to come back with an odd number like, oh my God, I saw 57. They were there before. It's just now that you're focusing on them. What happened is, as I started to cut we got these 15 pieces of content. I then got into the world of Gary Vee deeper, got an interview with him for the podcast. After the podcast is done, he's like, just hang out here and get comfortable. I was like, seriously? He's like, yeah. So I talked to all his team members. I spent an extra 6-7 hours in his office talking to all his team members. They gave me the blueprint, not only how to get 15 pieces of content, get like 50 pieces of content. And I was like, game over, all in, let's go. Like, I literally invest 90% of my revenues that I reinvest into the business is all in and around content. Like, it's that high.
It's amazing that you're saying that. This podcast actually was created because I needed something more sustainable in creating content. And then what happened very, very quickly is I started finding myself talking to the top people in Toronto real estate, self definitely included in that. The content was better. It was more engaging. I could create so much more of it. And it's changed the way that I do business as well. Like I would say that I'm much earlier on in the process than you are, obviously, but I feel like I'm going through that same sort of turning point that you did, honestly.
And I'm so excited for you. And think about it, right? Like you just said it, like you're talking to the top realtors. Like that's going to help you in your business, and in a myriad of ways. Not just making more money, but say you and I do, a deal together. Like I have a listing. And you're the one who's putting in the offer. That negotiation is going to be a little easier. on both of us. We
Yeah.
know each other now, right? You start to think about even building out your brokerage more, your team more. You're meeting some of the top agents. Well, here, I'll tell you right now, I have a team. People are like, oh, we're competition. Well, sure, yes, we are. Like, let's call a spade, but we can also collaborate. I have people who want to join my team. We're not the right fit for them. We're not everyone's cup of tea. They're not our cup of tea. Guess what I'm going to do? You got to call my boy Oliver. Check out his outfit. Might be. That's how we're more than just competition. We're not only just competition, right? I used to say collaboration over competition. I think collaboration is getting getting to become one of those buzzwords, but there's ways that we can also work together. Like there's so many things that are going to come out of you putting out more content.
Absolutely. And I am seeing it firsthand. So I appreciate you taking a lead on that because you were one of the people that I looked at and be like, how do I just do that? So
Yeah.
I really do appreciate that. What do you think keeps agents from prospecting? Why do they struggle with it?
I think specifically agents, real estate agents, because I've been blessed enough to now coach sales professionals in all industries, and real estate agents. I mean, I can say this: you're one and I'm one. We're a different breed. We truly are built differently, actually. Real estate agents in general, for so many reasons. I think one of the main reasons they have a hard time prospecting, man, is because they actually got into the business under false pretenses. Either what they saw on TV, like $1 Million Listing New York in
They watched one too many episodes of Selling Sunset.
Well, yeah, right. And at the bottom of the screen on the lower third, you see the $37,000 in commissions, and you're like, oh my God, they did that in 22 minutes. We all obviously know that's not true. Or of recent, and I'll speak about my local area, definitely my country in Canada, like, in the Greater Toronto area. We went through a very, very frothy market where it really wasn't sales, it was order taking. Back in 2020, mid 2020, all the way to, I'm going to say, mid-ish 2023, I could start to see the writing on the wall, kind of mid 2023 and kind of where we are now. Not to say I saw exactly what we're seeing now, but I could see that, this is no longer order taking. Not everybody and their cousin wants 7 places. And so people thought the money was easy. I also think going further back, like 20 years ago, most people got into the business because someone told them, like, you're so good with people, you should get your real estate license, right? And so they never understood that to get the gold, you got to prospect. To get a deal, the word deal, DEAL, is just lead, same letters, just mixed up. You got to get leads. To do deals, you got to get leads. To get leads, they don't just come to you. That's called luck. And luck happens when you work very hard and opportunity kind of cross over. We've all heard of those cliches, but it doesn't happen all the time. You have to be proactive in this business.
It's not a
and
business
prospect.
plan.
And so because they don't know that, they don't want to do it.
We like to ask all of our guests this one question. What is the one thing in your business that if you could fix it or change it or improve it, it would have the biggest effect for you?
Great question. There's so many. That's the truth. We have so many holes all the time. Every time I plug one, another one, kind of shows itself. The timing of what you just asked is fantastic because I'm actually going through with my business partner in my real estate company, going through a little bit of a reorg and a restructuring. But if I had to pick one in my organization, because I have a sales team as well, I have 40 agents on my team, I would want them to show up in my office. If I could wave a magic wand and life was perfect, 5 days a week. Bare minimum, 3 days a week for 2 hours. I know I said 3 is like what you want to do, 9 to 12, but they're here in my office for 2 hours a day, 3 days a week. And that is the most authentic answer I can give you because that is the exact change I'm about to implement.
How are you?
And that's how much.
How are you planning on implement? How are you getting them into the office?
New rules of engagement.
Kind of expectations for them to be on your team.
No more. Like this is it or not. I'm just not for you. And I mean that, like, I actually understand it. What I'm about to ask for is going to be tough for people. But I've been in sales 31 years, real estate 21 years. This is by far the toughest real estate market I've ever experienced in my over 2 decades. It's a long time. I have the answers. I'm not sure if they're going to work, but I have answers. And one of them is, at the end of the day, I told you in the Jas Takhar 5-pillar sales method, the most fundamental is time blocking and productivity. On the other end of the spectrum, the fifth pillar is the appointment engine. Okay. I believe that the most important aspect of selling real estate / other high ticket items, mortgages, financial advice, insurance, you need an appointment. You need to get an appointment booked, because then you can actually take an appointment, see if there's a possible way, see if there is a need or a want that needs to be uncovered, try to reverse engineer a product or service you have if it makes sense. That is called conversion. None of that happens unless you have appointments. And so for me, the way that I want to have this organization run now is we're going to book appointments. We're going to do them together, because I know if I leave you to yourself, you're not going to do it. To your point, why don't, earlier question, Jas, why don't agents want to prospect? Let's not leave it up for chance. Let's come in here. I know if you're here, you'll do it because other people are doing it. We're big children, monkey see, monkey do, right? And then there's this synergy that happens. 1 + 1 starts to equal 3. And I've always come from sales organization. I sold cars at a very high level for 3 years. And there's something about healthy competition, like where Oliver just got an appointment. He got 5 friggin' appointments this last hour. Holy crap. I got to get one now too. And then when you can take that, and it's my culture, which is Oliver didn't get an appointment today. No problem. We're all going to sit together and do this. We're going to get Oliver to do one. Just one. Because he's on our team. We're only as strong as our weakest link. Right? And that doesn't mean Oliver's the weakest link in general. It's just the weakest link today. Prop him up. So we all elevate our games. And that only happens, in my opinion, if we're together. We need to touch each other, see each other, smell each other.
Jas, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
I really appreciate it, buddy. I really, really appreciate you having me.
Of course, man. I had a good time, and I'm looking forward to connecting again soon, and definitely taking you up on that offer. Guinness, by the way, is my drink of choice, so we'll make that happen.
I'm more of a tequila drinker, but if there was a beer I was going to drink, and I'm not just saying it, it would be Guinness.
Would it, eh? Okay, so we'll have
I love it
together.
Awesome.